You're listening to Popcorn and Politics. What's the real deal? Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney and Derek J. Wilson. Asking the hard-hitting questions you want answers to from political leaders and political hopefuls from around the world.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Popcorn and Politics. I'm your host, Audrey Bell Kearney, along with my co-host, Derek J. Wilson, and our special guest, Commissioner Marlene Fosque. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Derek, and thank you, Audrey.
You're welcome. Listen, y'all, it's a rainy day here in Georgia. It's one of them days where you don't want to get out of bed, but we had to do this interview, so we are here to talk to Commissioner Fosque about all of the great things that she's done for Gwinnett County and her district, which is District 4, and her uphill battle for her seat because of those maps that we've been talking about for the last month or so. So without further ado, let's get on in. So, it's so funny, Commissioner. We had State Rep Donna McLeod on, and I think we asked her, well, how did you get into politics? She said, I was out canvassing. Your story was the same. I was out canvassing, and somebody else said the same thing. They were out canvassing for somebody, and it's like, I need to do this. So the stories are pretty similar, but thank you for the hard work that you've done in Gwinnett County and that you continuously to do. So for those of you who don't know her, I'm going to give her the opportunity to introduce herself to you guys for the first time. So go right ahead.
Well, thank you for that, Audrey. I am Marlene Majette Fosque. I'm really a product from New York. I was born in New York. I was in the foster care system in New York. When I was 2, my mom's died. And then when I was 12, my dad died. And then fast forward, I went to go live with Big Mama, with my grandmother in North Carolina. So I call myself a North Carolinian before I call myself a Georgian. And so my grandmother raised me, and I accepted a job years later down in not Gwinnett, but actually Fulton County with Aetna Insurance Company. And so I moved down here, and I've been a Gwinnett resident now for 18 years. But I'm also the first district commissioner that Gwinnett County has ever elected that was Black. In 200 years, I was elected in 2018. So I'm one of those ceiling busters, per se.
Yeah. Wow. It's so crazy when you think about 200 years. Yeah. 200. That's just let that sink in for a second, y'all. The first Black, 200 years.
Yeah.
And we made so many.
On that note, too, it's just that myself, and I will give shout outs, of course, to 3 other firsts who came in with me, which was Brian Whiteside, our Solicitor General, as well as Everton Blair, the first Black school board person, and then Rhonda Coven-Leary, who was the first Black state court judge. So our year was 4 of us. And then 2 years later, I think it was 9 or 10? People that actually came in the other first that we have in Gwinnett County. And what we're hearing so often is that they can't believe all this happened all of a sudden. No, it's been 200 and 204 for some of the others. So it has not been all of a sudden.
And plus you all put in the work, you knocked the doors, you walked up and down the streets. So nothing was handed to you all.
No.
So,
and even with me back when I started, no one knew me. I was not part of the leadership inside or anything. I was a retired person from Aetna, and I just had a lot of faith, and I didn't have a lot of money. But, the Democratic Party at the time asked me to run, and they have been behind me, but so have so many other people, and they gave me an opportunity. And so I got in here these last 4 years and work, and more work. And of course, we haven't arrived.
Yeah. So what was one of the major things you learned as being a first-time elected official?
Well, what I thought was a challenge was because I was the first, in every room that I went into, I didn't see people in the room that looked like me. And so I went around giving people my resume, but they knew who I was. I didn't know who they were. And so one of the lessons I learned is I was supposed to be, and I am supposed to be in that room, helping to represent all of our citizens, being that key connector to everyone. So that's one of the things I've learned, that you don't have to assume or you don't have to validate yourself. Your work is going to speak for you. But that's one of the things I had to learn because, again, I didn't know anyone. They all knew about me as soon as I walked in the room. And there were some challenges at times. I walked by people in the hallway and they didn't speak to me. And I'm a speaker. I'm always like smiling, saying hi to everyone. But once they got into the same room that I was in and I was introduced, then it was, Commissioner, oh, hey, come, let's do lunch.
Wow. Wow.
So now I know that the pandemic wreaked havoc everywhere, and
Yes.
you have been very instrumental in putting some legislation plans out there to help us rebuild. Talk to us a little bit about some of the things that you've accomplished during the pandemic.
Well, one of the things that I really laud as my accomplishment, and I'm sorry that it has to be accomplishment, is Project Reset. When Project Reset started, Project Reset is an eviction prevention program. And myself, a Home First Director, Matt Elder, and a Chief Magistrate Judge, Christina Bloom, we were just standing around in the hallway thinking, what could we do with this money? And this was back with CARES dollars. So it started in 2020, and we came up with the idea of an eviction prevention program. And since 2020, we have been able in Gwinnett County to keep 12,000 or over 12,000 people stably housed. And the money came from federal money. It came from money from under both administrations, under the I was going to say a Bush, under the Trump administration, as well as under the Biden. And thus far, we have used over $46.5 million trying to and striving to keep our residents who were behind for whatever reason. Maybe they lost their jobs because of COVID, but they were not able to pay their rent for months at a time, and we were able to step in and help them. And the reason why I laud that as an accomplishment, but it's almost sad, is because we won't have that money forever. And so in this time frame, we are utilizing it as wisely as we can. So that's one of the things that I've done that really impact thousands of lives at one time.
You know, one of the things that we heard from Commissioner Watkins and also Congresswoman Carolyn Bordeaux is that a lot of times these resources are available, but people just don't know about them. How are you getting the word out so people can know that these resources are available to them? Because that has been one of the things we've heard over and over again. Well, we have it, and there was a young lady at our event last Wednesday. She's like, well, how do I know? Is there a place for me to go find this out? How are you getting the word out about those resources?
Well, one of the things that we learned too that is accomplishment, when I came in 2018, the county only had access to a little bit of social media. But Commissioner Koo, the other district commissioner, and myself, we pushed hard for communications to even form a department. So now, because of that, we now have Instagram, we now have Facebook Live, we do our meetings in Facebook Live. So my point of sharing that is that we utilize every vehicle we could think of. We have commercials about it, just internal type commercials, but we do reach out. And before the pandemic, the numbers got so high, we had what we call community navigators, and they were actually going to different parts of town and taking applications right there. We put the applications on our website in 5 different languages. If you go to our website on Project Reset, which is at www.gwinnettcounty.com, we have it in English, we have it in Spanish, we have it in Korean, Vietnamese, and Cantonese, because those are our 5 primary languages we have. So we're trying to, and we know that we miss certain places, but we are trying to get that information out. But the money is winding down, and that's what I want people to know. This, we started utilizing these funds in 2020. We have applied to the state of Georgia now, and we're asking to see if they would grant us like $25 million. If so, that will last us into September, October. So we haven't given up, but we know that the funds are winding down.
So how close are you to being depleted of those funds?
We're not close. Well, we have probably until the end of March, maybe the beginning of April. But that's why, but we've been, like I said, we are one of the few counties that were able to put this program into place. And in fact, some of my commissioner friends over in Athens, Clark County, they actually mirrored their program by looking at our program. And that came through collaboration, even between counties. And I helped to lead that effort. So, every county is based on your population, how much money is awarded. And we've done a really good job of expending it.
Wow. Also, as we continue to talk about your accomplishments, aren't you on the board of I can't think of the name of the organization because you're on many boards, but this one deals with mental health.
Viewpoint Health. Yes.
Viewpoint
I'm on Viewpoint Health.
Yes. Could you please explain that collaboration and how important it is to the county?
Sure. Viewpoint Health is our what we call safety net. It's a community service board and is appointed by the state. So Viewpoint Health covers Gwinnett, Newton, and Rockdale counties. And what it does is it provides treatment for substance abuse or mental health treatment. But one of the things that Viewpoint Health did, and I'm really proud of this program, is they introduced a mental health co-responder program that is assigned with our law enforcement. So last year with our Gwinnett County Police Department, we had one licensed clinical worker that actually worked with the police department, just one precinct when they had mental health crisis calls. But through Chairwoman Nicole Love Hendrickson and our board, we were able to approve 5 more of these licensed clinical, not social workers, but yes, they are social workers or clinicians to go out with our law enforcement. And so because of that, that's going to help out tremendously now because it's really activated. But also, in July, there will be a new mental health number, 988. And so starting July 26th, is a national number. It's all over the United States. And so it's going to roll out then. So that will even help fuel the calls even better, because if people can call instead of 911, they can call 988. But if they call 911, they'll switch them over to 988. So, even if someone calls 911 in July, they will still get that help. And the other thing I'm doing with Viewpoint Health is I'm leading the effort through one of the organizations I volunteer with called ACCG, the Association of County Officials in Georgia. But I'm also on our local level with our own board leading the effort so that we can actually have a mental health jail diversion program, as well as to increase the number of crisis stabilization units. And that is so important because we know sometimes when people have these crises who have mental health challenges, sometimes they're taken, or right now, they most likely are going to be taken to jail. And they really can't get the care that they need at the jail. It's not that the jails are doing anything wrong. It's just that's not the place for someone who might be in a mental health crisis. So I am working with some of our state legislators on that also, so that's part of this mental health reform omnibus bill. And I think it's going to, those portions will pass. I really do think that they will.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the map, because we got to talk about the map. What's your thoughts? I know you got some.
Well, with the redistricting, the whole process, we followed every procedure that was given out to us. We followed every process. They asked us to, work with reapportionment, to propose our own map. We did. We being Gwinnett County, we followed every single step. We submitted things. It was approved from the reapportionment perspective as far as we met all the criteria, and they still didn't use it. I even took the chance in District 4 and try to make my district at least like 48% Democrats, 48% Republicans, and also left 2% undecided. I was willing to do that with the map, but none of that worked. And so now where I sit is, it's really disheartening in a way, because they took out this bill through the leaders of whoever was pushing this. They took out 136,000 minorities. They took them out of District 4. And they brought in 147 non-necessary minorities. Some may be minorities, 147,000. Let me get these right. I'm talking in thousands. They took out 136,000 people and they brought in 147,000. So before, I only had 4 districts. I'm going to say when I win, because I got to be positive, it's going to be an uphill battle. And it's going to be very hard because the district went from 53% Democrats to 56% Republican. But it's now seven cities. So now I would have from Sugar Hill straight across north to Brazelton. So that means I would have all of Auburn, all of Brazelton, of course, all of Beaufort, the north part of Swanee, all of Sugar Hill, the north part of Lawrenceville, and then Rest Haven. And so, I'm already on the ground out there meeting with the mayors, meeting with the community, and we will have state of the district town halls coming up too. I know I'm going to have one or several, and I know that Commissioner Watkins, and I believe all of the commissioners will have one. But it's unfair. But I'm in this position now that I still have to win over votes for people who don't know me. But if you know me, you know I've been in the community, I've been speaking, I've been presenting, I've been showing up at the schools, and now I have to do that and make sure that 147,000 new people know that I'm still out there doing the work. It's not anything new for me.
All right. Yeah. And what else is so disappointing about it is that people who voted for you in 2018 that lives in Lawrenceville, they don't get another vote until 2024 now.
Right. There are people who, and actually it's people who, you're absolutely right, that were moved out. They won't get the opportunity to vote for a total of 6 years. And the other challenge or the impact that people are not thinking of, there's at least 69 precincts that have been impacted. So that means there's thousands of people who may get new precinct cards and say that they went to a precinct in a neighborhood. They may have to go over a little bit further because of how, the boundary lines are now. So this impacts thousands. This is not anything simple at all that was done.
And then on the flip side, people who,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Then on the flip side, people who voted 2 years ago thinking they don't have to vote again, now they have to go back to the polls because now they have to vote for another new commissioner, because they just voted for District 1 2 years ago. So it's going to be confusing, but it's going to require, you to get the word out.
Yes, and that's why we're doing our state of the district town halls. And also, I'm going to already give kudos out to our election staff and as well as our communication staff, because I say that they already have their seatbelts on and they also have their running shoes because they have to fly to get this stuff done. Because even though we have nonpartisan races coming up in May, you still got to know the boundaries. And I know the school boundaries may or may not have changed, but they had a map too. And maybe their changes are simple. But of course, they have to do a lot so that whatever candidates are running for the once qualifying ends the second Friday in March, that people are aware exactly what districts and what the boundary lines are. So there's a lot have to be done in a short period of time. But again, I'm really, really proud of our election staff because we will be offering sample ballots this year for the first time in 3 other languages. Again, it will be, of course, 5 languages being English and then Spanish because it's mandated. But now we will offer our sample election ballots in Vietnamese, Korean, and also Cantonese or simplified Chinese for the first time. And that is one of the efforts I led to. I wanted to lead a language equity access initiative. And that's one of the things that the board agreed and we've come together on. And so that's what we have.
So it's a sample ballot. So what does that mean? Is it would they see that ballot when it's time to vote, or is it just a sample for them to know how to mark the ballot when they get the real ballot?
Both, meaning that they can see the sample ballot early when it's ready, but it's going to be at each of the election sites and it will be in the order of the actual ballot. So it will be in their language and it may be longer because, as you know, when you translate, it may not be one sentence may really be 3 or 4. And then we will also have like SPLOS will be on this, and this is November, the general election. SPLOS will be on that one, but it will be where they can actually see what it would look like. But as you know, the election ballots are managed and handled and created by the Secretary of State's office. So they're not looking to do additional languages, and they only do in Gwinnett Spanish because it's federally mandated for us.
Wow. What now with the maps? Are they finalized, or is there something that you can do to still fight that map and see can you get it changed?
Well, Governor Kemp signed the map into law last Friday, not this past Friday, but last Friday. And the most fight we can do is just fight against this, but, just turn around and fight. But at this point, I don't think it'll be to any avail for the fact of it went through the House, it went through the Senate, and then the governor signed it. So fighting it in one of the things that they did was they did not go over the Voting Rights Act regulations, meaning it wasn't like 50.1. They might have made changes that impacted 40.9% of the population, but it wasn't the 50. So they're within the guidelines of doing that. And so what we encourage people to do, what I've been encouraging people to do is, one, of course, go out to vote. And two, if they want to live in District 4, our commission district, then feel free to migrate. So those are the two things that I'm encouraging at this point, and really getting out to all of the communities. And last time I won by majority Democrats. I really, really did. But I did have a sprinkling or two of some Republicans and independents who voted for me last time. So now I'm out there encouraging all parties to vote for me because I'm really doing the work, especially on a local level.
So how do you remain so positive when outside looking in, this could seem like a direct personal attack against you being, you're the first African American to ever be elected to this position. And then 2 years later, they just basically, try to write you out of your seat. Like, how do you stay positive and not take it personal?
Really, it's about faith. I believe the first time when I came into office, it was God ordained. And I believe this time is too. We're not finished yet. There's so many, it's like the changes that I've been making. I have personally opened up the door so many minorities and other people of color to come in. And I can't see God just closing that door when I believe I'm doing what he's asked me to do. So that means one of the things that I asked God for was a new saying. What do you want me to say this year as I run? And what came to me is diversity is our strength, but inclusivity is our power. And so that means that we need everybody at the table, not just white, not just Black, not just Asian, not just Hispanic. We need everyone to help solve the problems and the challenges that we have in Gwinnett because we value the voices of the diversity. We value the experiences. And just because someone else closed the door, they may not realize, one, the number of people who have moved into our area since the 2020, because a lot of people are using 2020 census, last, 2021 versus this year. And sadly, the number of people who have left. So sometimes even in the shift and the move, you may not think you have the demographics you think. And so we're going to encourage everyone to get out to vote because everybody's voice matters. So that's how I stay. I stay focused because of faith and just really, this is a new thing. This is something that we're doing. And one of the things I want to say too is that with challenges come change, and with change come challenges. And so I expect challenges, but I just want you to play fair, and you're not. So I can get over that. But I'm going to stay focused on what I have to do, and then any of the advocacy groups or the population. If there's anybody in the community who wants to say and do things, then they can do that. But I don't want to be distracted because we got a lot to do in Gwinnett County, and we just started working with our equity plan and things like that. And so I want to make sure that I'm out there staying focused, doing what needs to be done, already showing I'm a proven leader, not that I have to get ready because we don't want to go back. We want to move forward.
All right.
What is the equity plan?
The equity plan is basically we are talking internally. One, we're going to do something internally to look at our staff to see if we have actually done a great makeup of different people from different positions, even our hiring practices. We're looking at everything that impacts diversity in all of our 12 or 13 departments. But we also want to look in the county and see, just like if you think about the equity plan that we're doing at Gwinnett Place Mall, where we're bringing in community stakeholders and residents, and we're looking at as we build things in different neighborhoods and communities, do the people who live there, do they have a voice? We want to make sure that we understand their experiences since people come in with all different backgrounds, that we understand their experiences, we value their voice, we value their input. So we don't want to make decisions just when, we don't want to make the decisions that we just made without their impact. And we know that we may have to use more resources in one area than we did in other area, because that's what equity is about anyway.
Wow.
With all the things that you've done, all of the things that you've accomplished, what are some of the things you want to see? What would you like to accomplish in this upcoming season when you win?
Thank you. Well, one of the things, and this answer is going to go right to Derek because he's going to love what I'm about to say. I'm a huge proponent of economic development. And so my project, my very first project it's doing very well is the exchange at Gwinnett. When I say mine, as a commissioner, along with Charlotte Nash at the time and Ben Koo, it was just 3 of the 5 who voted to move forward with that project along the way. We created a tax allocation district. Why is that important in that area? Because that land where the exchange is on is set for 20, 25 years because of hard rock. So what has happened out there now, there's a Top Golf, there's a Andretti Carton, but most importantly is housing out there too. At the end of, when we first got that land, it was valued at $7.5 million. Today, based on what's built now, it's $80.1 million, meaning that just with the stores, just with Sprout, it gets better. By the end of May 23, we will have 153 senior units plus a hotel out there. And with that, the value will be at $305 million. So it went from 7.5 in 2019 to $305 million value at the end of 2023. And here's a kicker too. A tax allocation district means that you agree that the owners of that land will pay property tax, the same property tax when you sign the contract. So this company, Fuquay, will say they will pay the same property tax for the next 10 years. The county gets $63 million just for allowing that. In the school system, who didn't have to do anything but sign their name, they get $36 million. So all of this is happening. And so why am I saying that? Because I want to make sure that when we build communities like the exchange for the next 4 years too, these are communities that are walkable. These are communities that have jobs. These are communities that our residents will live in. And so that's the kind of thing that we build smartly. And I want to continue to do that. My other project that I'm working on, of course, is helping to lead the efforts with the first where the Black high school was, which was Hooper Rimrit back before integration. For about 15 to 20 years, it was the only public high school that Blacks can attend. And so one of the things we're going to do in Lawrenceville is, and I'm still, even though they took out part of Lawrenceville, I have a third of it, but I'm still lead that project, is we're going to make that library the first destination or theme library. And what that means is that there's going to be a new building built around the actual physical school. But we want to make sure all through the library, there will be stories told about the Black experience of the students, the parents, and faculty. And I think that's very important for us to always make sure that we remember the past and learn from it, but also put a spin on the future. We don't want to stay just in the past. And the reason why it's a destination one is because we want to make sure that you come and you want to come back. So it's not a one-time visit. Yes, you're going to have the library part, but it's going to be exhibits and things like that also. So I want to do that. And of course, housing. Oh my gosh. I am trying to learn everything I can on how do you create the different arrangements in order to fund. And sometimes we say affordable housing and people cringe. So I'm just saying attainable housing, which is the same as affordable housing. But affordable housing isn't a bad thing. We have done a housing study in Gwinnett County. We have done a residential zoning. And so we know we have a lot of work to do. We have a comprehensive housing plan that we're getting ready to start. And so I'm trying to learn as much as possible. How can we have affordable housing and what does that look like in Gwinnett County?
Wow.
So housing, economic development, whatever else I can do, there's so many things that we can continue to accomplish, including language equity access. The other thing last thing that I had done that I know that we all will continue to watch is to help. I helped to lead the effort in creating the Gwinnett County Police Department Citizens Police Advisory Board. And that was based on police reform. And one of the things they have done on their self, they've asked the actual Citizens Advisory Board have looked at different issues that have come to us and actually render some opinions on it. And then the other thing that our police department have done on themselves by themselves is that even though crisis intervention course is required, a 40-hour course is required by the state, we do another 40-hour week-long. It's not mandatory. This one isn't mandatory, but we strongly encourage our officers to take it. And we've had a good turnout for that. So I think, looking and making sure all of our departments are able to function the way that they are and successfully for our community. That's what it's about.
So I know that they redrew the lines with the newly drawn lines. Will the Rowan project be in your district? Because I know
No, that was never in
no.
my district. That was never in my district at all. Anyway, the Rowan is in District 3, but we all, since it's a major county initiative and project, we all, go to the meetings. We all try to stay informed, but it's basically a project that's in District 3.
Okay. I was just wondering about that because I know it's on this side of me on 316 on that side, and I know that's a huge project. And one of the things that they had asked in the focus meeting that I was invited to was what type of housing would you like to see? And I heard anything from affordable to 3D printed houses to tiny houses. I heard a little bit of everything, so I was just wondering about that.
But I had researched tiny houses. I'm out there looking at all the possible housing options that I can. I connected with this group called the Georgia Supportive Housing, and they really work for DCA, the Department of Community Affairs. So I attend their webinars and seminars. And so my point is, I am trying to become as educated as I can on understanding what is the deal. I'm looking at even like in Atlanta and trying to understand that and connecting with different people so that they can share information to help us to make the best possible decision for Gwinnett.
Wow. Well, there's one thing I can say about, you and your leadership and your district. I mean, Top Golf, Andretti's, the Entrepreneur Center. We're going to let you, you have to speak on that. I know this is separate from the county, but you're always there. The Lawrenceville Housing Authority, the good work they're doing. I see you at things that's not even county related, and but you're there supporting the municipalities, individuals. I think Audrey. There was a ribbon cutting for a new business, and you were there. It's so. District 4 is definitely lucky to have you. And then, prior to 2020, we as African Americans were just lucky to have you because you was the de facto commissioner for all of us, no matter what district we was in. We knew that we can come to you, and you'll guide us in the right direction. So I want to publicly give you your flowers and tell you thank you for all you have done, not just for your district but for the county as a whole. We need more leaders like you. And so
thank you for that, Derek. And one of the things that I instantly recognized, and one of the reasons why I even ran, was we were missing our minority communities and people of color. We were missing from just receiving information. We didn't know resources. We didn't know like where to go, what to sign up for. We did not even have that many people of color that was on any of our boards, and we have over 24 boards. And now through one of the things that I've done and other commissioners have followed too, is that I looked and I wanted to bring people who was knowledgeable in their skills. Like this one guy, he is on the water and sewage. No, he's on stormwater board. But he told me, this is a terrible story, but I'm going to share it, that he tried for 20 years to get on the board, and he's a chemist. So if you have anyone who's a chemist to be on a stormwater board, and so, when I found that, I looked at his credentials, we verified everything. He lives in my district. And that's the challenge too with this redistricting. We may lose some of those people from out of the district because they're not going to be in District 4 anymore. Some of them possibly. So that's kind of like really sad and disheartening to me. But anyway, with this young man, I was like, yes, we do need you. And because when people of color and minorities come to these boards and stuff, they bring their experiences. But the most important thing is they have the skills too. And so my personal mantra is all any one of us need is just an opportunity. And if I can keep opening up doors to get people through, and not just people of color and not just minorities, just anyone, then that's what I'll do. But just have the skill sets first and show me that you are really want to do this and you're going to show up. I don't have anybody on the 24 boards that I know of that comes halfway doing stuff. Right. They show up because they understand the value of their input and how it helps Gwinnett County grow. Yeah. So thank you for what you said, but it's really, I just want to keep giving people opportunities and open up those doors.
Thank you, because that's important, because a lot of people get into those positions and they forget that they can do that. And so thank you for just doing that. And that's really important. So that's amazing. Um, Anything in this administration right here that you've been running that you wish you could change or do over?
Wow. What has really helped us for the last doing this administration is, unfortunately, we had COVID and we had pandemic. So of course you don't want anyone to die or anything like that. But because we had that, we have an influx of federal funds and state funds, mostly federal. And so I wish that we can get information out quicker on how to be healthier. I wish that we can get information out quicker when we think about infant mortality and what we can do. Like if we remove all that money, where would we be? You know, I mean, everywhere, all over the country, you know, all over the United States. So one of the things that I wish that I could do differently was coming in, realizing one, that I was supposed to be in the room, because you could waste time not knowing which door to go to. And all you have to do is ask people. But if we don't know what to ask, if you don't know the right questions to ask, instead of me just reaching out on my own for like 6 months trying to figure out a door, let me go to Susie Q, because Susie knows I should go to door number 2. So not having as many of the relationships that I needed up front. However, I've gone out and I've made my own partnerships and relationships. And so now if I call someone, they know I'm asking, you know, I'm providing them with credible information, but I'm asking something that would help others. So really, if I can do that over, it's just having those direct contacts immediately. And one of the things that I do, I serve also on NACO, which is the National Association of County Officials. And why is that important? Because NACO is in every state. And I serve, as I mentioned, in ACCG because it's in every county in Georgia. So now I'm bringing in resources for Gwinnett, financial resources for Gwinnett. And when I was in NACO about 3 weeks ago, we were up on Capitol Hill. Of course, I got to meet with Senator John Ossoff again. And, you know, we always have access to Senator Warnock and also Congresswoman, both Congresswomen. We have access to Congresswoman Bordeaux as well as Congresswoman Macbeth. And why am I saying that? Because if you only stay in Gwinnett, then you only can do Gwinnett things. But when you are a forward thinker and you're willing to do the extra work and get out there and meet and serve on these national and statewide committees, then guess what? You have access to resources that no one else could explain, because you have to be there. You got to be in that room, that moment in time. I can turn around and bring back all that information. Say, hey, Gwinnett, let's do this, that, and the other. And on NACO, I'm the chairperson of the subcommittee on transit and rail. So that gave me a good insight across the state of United States, what people are doing about transit and rail. And now I have a different question about transit. And Derek, you may like this question. But I'm thinking that instead of us, thinking, about spending billions of dollars to go 6 miles to Doraville, which we may still do with heavy rail, shouldn't the question be, how do we get 957,000 of our Gwinnetians to the airport? See, that's a different question.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking differently, because I now have access to information and resources. And maybe it's with the bus rapid transit that we're going to look at, with having designated lanes. Maybe we can have a transit stop somewhere that only goes to the airport every 60 to 90 minutes. I don't know. I don't have all the answers yet. But I'm saying that that's where I'm at, where I'm thinking differently. Do we need to use $6 billion or whatever? And again, heavy rail isn't bad. I'm not against heavy rail, but I am for how do we move our Gwinnetians to the airport? Because that's why people say they want a heavy rail is to go to Doraville and Doraville to go to the airport. Well, maybe we don't have to go we don't have to use that method,
Right.
and maybe it could come quicker. Still do heavy rail if that's what people want. But hey, if we can do a bus rapid transit, and a bus rapid transit is supposed to be as fast as a light rail. So if we can have something like that going with maybe 2 stops only, then and still getting there 30 minutes, 40 minutes, let's go for it.
That'd be great.
Speaking
of airport,
yes.
Speaking of airports, that's in your district. I've always wondered. I think Audrey and I had a conversation about that airport. I always wonder. I do know statistically that the Gwinnett Airport is, I want to say, the busiest airport in Georgia outside of Hartsfield.
We are third. We are the
The
third
third.
busiest,
Okay.
right behind where you have Hartsfield Jackson, of course,
Right.
and then you have the DeKalb Peachtree.
Okay.
You have DeKalb, and then we're next. And the reason why we're so busy is we have a lot of chartered flights leaving and coming every day. So we don't have commercial because our airports are too small for like commercial airlines like a Delta to be here. It's just we don't have the space. However, one of the things that I have done is also when I found out that Senator Warnock serves on the subcommittee for aviation, then I'm like, oh, can we get some more money down here in Gwinnett County?
I was
And
just
they were
about to ask.
able to bring some money down. I think we got $700,000 out of the infrastructure that we could use, and that's not a lot for an airport, needs millions of dollars, but we'll take that. And so one of the things we're doing right now is that we are looking for what they call an FBO, a fixed base operator, someone to manage the airport. And then we also have an airport master plan that is being worked on now. What can happen out there? Because one of the things, and here I go again, Derek, and I'm saying this to you, is I look at the airport and I want us to have an economic hub. I want us to have, right now, there's not even ground transportation. It's not real restaurants out there. It's none of that. So I'm already thinking now. I know everybody is not people who have built their houses, who knew there was an airport. They may not agree. So we may have to work with them on it. But I think that we could really make that some kind of economic hub. And therefore, you need transit out there because you can't go by our airport like a drive-by. It's not going to happen. You got to have a car if you go into our airport, which is fine. But I'm also always thinking of jobs. And I don't want just livable wages. I want more than livable wages. And so when we think about what jobs that will be out there, you got to have transit again. And we got to think, what can we make it? How do we make it very, very viable? Because right now, we only have like hangars out there. I think it's 200 hangars. And you just have, the people who are chartering their planes, but it's not for everyone. But I want it to be. I feel like all throughout Gwinnett County, we should make every area viable and vital when you think of economics.
It's people that's in Gwinnett County who not even aware that they have an airport.
Yes. When I was on the tour yesterday, the Gwinnett County and the United Ebony Society Black History Tour, we were going all over, and when we went past the airport, nobody said anything. So that made me think that we need to mention all of the things that we have, all of our facilities when we're touring people around, because that airport is very important to us too. And here's the thing that I was thinking, because Audrey know I always have ideas. So I was thinking that how do you get people, and this was about Rowan, if people begin to come in to Hartsfield, how do we get them not on the highway, but get them to come from Hartsfield to our airport, Bristol Field, and then get some type of transportation to take them to Rowan? So that's where I'm at already. Already thinking, is that a helicopter, ride that they need to do? Is there some kind of shuttle system that we need to think about and, really think, strategically, but also it's not just a whim. It's not a crazy idea. We have to think 5 to 6, 50 years from now, because that's what Rowan is. Rowan is a major project that is multi-generational. It's not going to be totally built out for 50 years.
Right.
So along the way, we need to think with things like the airport. Now, we don't want 50 years for the airport to be built out, but my point is we have to think more than what we see today. Should we even add anything into our SPLOS? We have a SPLOS coming up this November for the aviation. I don't know, but we're looking at it. We think about SPLOS and we think about our road surface and transportation, but part of transportation is aviation. So often when you say transportation, people automatically think roads, bridges, surface, which is fine, and they think maybe buses and things, but it's important to think aviation is a part of transportation too.
Ooh, that's good. As you were saying that, I'm saying to myself, man, it would be really nice if we could put small businesses out there to service the people that are flying in on the charter, and give them an opportunity to have restaurants and gift shops and things. Because I see a gift shop out there about Gwinnett County. I think that's amazing. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I
great.
think I think of it like a concourse, just like you see the
Yeah,
concourses at
Yeah.
Hartfield Jackson, that you have concourses out there,
Mhm.
because that would stimulate people coming to that part of the area too. But again, we had to look at transit, and we have to look at not just putting more people on. One of our biggest challenges is mobility in Gwinnett County. How do we make it where people can honestly stop at some places? Because we don't want people like you go, if you're on the MARTA and you near Brookhaven as an example, when you go past there, they are up above. So they're above ground. So there's no way that you can just stop and just go to a restaurant and hop back on the train. You have to come downstairs, go back up, that type of thing. I would like more mobility items or issues just like ground level, so that you can stop and get off at a restaurant, go to the grocery store, and then come back on for the next route that's going back wherever your destination is.
I like the whole airport thing. Like, I hate going out to Hartsville. I ain't gonna even lie. And I got to go out there this week. As a matter of fact, I'm like, oh God, I got to go to the airport, and then I got to go back next week. So anything that makes it easier for me to move about, and others, I'm sure was like yes, yes, and yes.
yeah, that's amazing. So are we wrapping up soon, Audrey? Because I
Yep.
have a question that I want to ask
Go
right
ahead.
before we wrap
Okay.
up.
Oh, go ahead. Go
Right.
ahead. Go ahead.
So as we wrap up, come to a close for Black History Month, what words of encouragement do you have for two people, the Black girl, the young African American girl that now sees you in a place of power, you as well as Chairwoman Nicole, I'm sorry, Nicole Love Henderson's, and like, what words of encouragement would you have for that young Black girl, and then what words of encouragement do you have for any minority that for the longest never saw a representative in a position like you? Because as I slipped up and said when I introduced you to my son, that you are historic. You're not historic, but your win made history, because historic means you're gone.
Yeah, I'm not historic. No, don't be putting that on me. I'm around for a while. Well, one of the things, thank you for the question. And one of the things that I would say, because I do have a 2-year-old granddaughter. And so one day I will tell her to believe in herself, to believe that she can do anything. And even if she fails, get back up, dust yourself off. Let's try again. And also, I would also tell her to seek a mentor. Pray about who you want to come into your life, but seek someone who can help you. So often we feel like we are isolated. We're on the island. If I tell someone, they may take my idea and run. Well, you're not talking to the right person. Because when people come and talk to me and ask me questions, and young women do, then I'm like, okay, what are you doing? But notice now, if you come to me, I'm going to give you an assignment. You're going to be able to talk. We're not going to just, okay, we had coffee and we're out. No, there's work to be done. And always know that you are doing things to help other people. And in the process of you helping other people, you'll be helped yourself. So that's something I would tell, especially a young girl, because society say right now that we have so many young girls who are angry and just in negative ways. And I believe no one's listening to some of these young ladies. So if we take the time to take a deep breath and to listen, let me hear what you want to say first before I come up with do da da da. No, let's do this together. And I want to encourage them that I'm with you. And I don't know if you remember, but when the Black Lives Matter happened, one of the things I did, it happened like in May or June, I had a young adult summit where I called it More Than Enough Impact. And so with that, I gave those young people, young adults, 20 in their 20s, not yet 30, the opportunity where I even took a picture where I'd been down on my knee and I said, you can stand on my shoulder. And my point is, you can use my platform. If I can help you and you need a platform and I open up my platform to you, I can do that even for young people. I go out to the schools now, and going out to the schools, that's not part of our jobs per se as a commissioner, but it's very important for young women, young girls, not even women, but young girls to see what could happen with a lot of perseverance. And then your second question, to mentor with anyone, again, I encourage people to read. We don't read enough, I think. we don't read enough. We don't ask enough questions, and don't think that your question is going to be dumb. I don't believe that. I ask the question, but do your homework first. So when you ask somebody who is in that realm where you want to go, then you'll be able to get a good answer, because they're like, oh, they study. Oh, they know me. Oh, such and such. Instead of just asking a generic question, you have to remember that you honor the time, whatever time of value time that God has given you to talk to someone. I mean, if Michelle Obama walked by right now, I do have a question for her, which I'm not going to share, but I do have a question for her, because you think about what happens if.
Right.
And then you be ready in that moment of time. So it's not just, well, how's the weather today? Well, we all know how the weather is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's raining.
So I just wanted to say that, for the fact of mentoring is, we have to be willing to share our knowledge and not be threatened. And we got to help people. And I believe if we help people, God's got us. He's going to look out for us.
Wow.
All right. Well, how can people reach out to you if they want to support you, cast a vote for you? How do they reach you?
Well, I know I do have a site, and it's just, I had to go look up my own site, but electmarlenefosque.com. And if you go to that site, you see my accomplishments. There's a way that you can volunteer. There's even a mailing address. And most importantly, I want people to not just judge me by the color of my skin. And we know that it's a quote by Dr. King, but look at what I've done in the last 4 years. Look what I will do, and give me that opportunity to help move Gwinnett County forward. That's all I'm asking. And I appreciate Audrey and Derek this time. You know, when both of you asked me to join, I never knew what to expect, but it's been rewarding. So thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out. We really appreciate you doing that and all the great work you're doing around Gwinnett County. So thank you for that. I know sometimes you don't get the things that you probably should, because I know people can be rough. You're doing your best and they're kicking you back in at the same time and not realizing I'm doing my best for you. So I thank you for that.
Thank you. And thank you, Derek.
All right,
Thank
guys.
you.
So listen.
So
Go
hold on
ahead.
before we wrap up, because she's playing two roles. She is a sitting elected official, as well as she's running for re-election. So for her election, I would do this for her. Every campaign requires donations. Every campaign requires volunteers and people to assist with the campaign. If you are willing and able to volunteer, please visit her website. If you're willing and able to donate to her campaign, please visit her website. She has an uphill battle, and we're going to go to battle with her. And so her website again is electmarlenefosque.com. And so I would do that for her. Now, I have, so switch that back over to your being a commissioner. What outside of GwinnettCounty.com, do you have any other website or any other information regarding the county that you would like to give out and have people to reach out to or look up?
Sure. My county email address is Marlene, MARLENE.Fosque, FOSQUE at GwinnettCounty.com. It's Marlene.Fosque at GwinnettCounty.com. And one other plug I'm going to plug is I am the only one that have a podcast in Gwinnett County. So if you go out to our Gwinnett County site and you bring up podcast, just put in the word podcast, I have about 20 episodes out there, and I'm talking to community leaders about happenings in Gwinnett. So feel free to even check out my podcast. And it's also called Better Together with Commissioner Fosque.
There you have it. Listen, podcasting is great. I keep trying to tell y'all sleeping on podcasting. It's great. It's great to get the word out. It's great to connect to the community. So no more questions there before I say my
well, no, I just wanted to give her plugs.
All right.
Thank you.
So again, thank you so much, Commissioner. Listen, guys, we'll be back again next week. Next week is going to be interesting. So you want to give them a quick brief about what's happening next week?
So next week, what we're working on, as we all know, has been education outside of the maps redistricting. Education has also been a hotbed at the Georgia Gold Dome. So we have a school board candidate down there in Chatham County that's running for school board, Ty Whiteley. She's going to be part on our first half, and then we're doing on our second half. We're doing it's going to be an educational summit where we're going to talk about the bills that some have already been passed, some are coming down the line, like the Parents' Bill of Rights. We're going to have already has been confirmed. We're going to have some State Representative Donna McLeod. We're going to have State Senator Nikki Merritt. And we are going to have a state rep and a state senator are the creators of some of these bills. I don't want to say their names yet because they still haven't said if they wanted to come or not. We are in conversations with them, and this is not going to be an ambush. It's just going to be a conversation with them, and there will be some teachers and parents as well. So this is going to be a big educational series, a 2-hour event that we're planning for next Sunday. So we're gonna have a school board candidate down there in Savannah area, Chatham County, and then we're gonna have our house delegation, whether they're state house or state rep, but they're gonna discuss these bills, and the teachers are gonna say how these bills affect them as a teacher. And so I'm just looking forward to this. I'm excited, and it's gonna be a big one.
So listen, you don't want to miss it. I'll be talking about it again tomorrow on the Good Morning Gwinnett Show, 10 a.m. live.com. All right. So again, thank you so much, Commissioner Fosque. Thank you, Derek, for co-hosting. Listen, we'll be back next week, 1:00, but plan for 2 hours because we got a fun-filled, packed episode next week with a lot going on. So make sure to join us. Same bat place, same bat time. Until next time, my friends, make it a great day. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
You've been listening to Popcorn in Politics. What's the Real Deal? Hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney and Derek J. Wilson. Be sure to subscribe to the show and share it with your family and friends. To support the show, visit us on the web at www.popcorninpolitics.com. Connect with us on Facebook at Progressive Popcorn and on Instagram at Popcorn Politics Podcast.